Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning, distinguished guests, respected speakers, industry leaders, representatives of the government, the trade associations, the buyer, manufacturers, and the media of the press. On behalf of CEMS-Global USA, the lead organizer, the International Apparel Federation, or IAF, as the strategic partners, together with the Asian Federations of the Textile Industries, or FTEX, and the co-organizers, together with China Chamber of Commerce for important export of the textiles, or CCCT, as a partners and our support organization. It's my great pleasure to welcome all of you to this Global Sourcing Summit of 2026. Our next 2 days will bring together some of the most influential voices from the global textile and the apparel industry to discuss the transformations of the global supply chain, together with the innovation, the future of sourcing, sustainability, and the regional collaboration. So to officially commence the summit, it is now my privilege to invite the Chief Moderator of the Global Sourcing Summit of 2026 on the stage, starting with Mr. Johan Rollins, the Secretary General, Joint Apparel Association Forum, or JAAF, from Sri Lanka. Please give a big round of applause for him once again ขอเสียงปรบมือดังๆให้ท่านด้วยนะคะคุณโยฮันโรเลนส์ค่ะที่จะเป็นโมเดเลเตอร์ของเราในวันนี้ค่ะ Following by the first speaker Miss Regina Leong Permanent Secretary General Asian Federation of the Textile Industry or FTEC ท่านที่สองนะคะ and the next person the next speaker is Dr. ชันชัยสิริเกษมเลิศ Executive Director Thailand Textile Institute or THTI Thailand ค่ะขอเสียงปรบมือให้ท่านด้วยนะคะท่านที่สามค่ะ and the third person the third speaker Mr. Jain นำชัยสิริ the Chairman the Thai Man-Made Fiber Association or TMFA Thailand เรียนเชิญคุณเจนนำชัยสิรินะคะเป็นแชร์แมนของ Thai Man-Made Fiber Association TMFA Thailand ค่ะและสปีกเกอร์ท่านที่4นะคะท่านสุดท้ายนะคะ Mr. Matthias Krute Secretary General International Apparel Federations from IAF Thank you so muchเอาละค่ะเดี๋ยวเราจะเริ่มที่สปีกเกอร์ท่านแรกก่อนนะคะ We going to get started with the first speakers but all the session will be moderated by Johan Rollins so the first speaker is now Mr. Regina Leong Mr. Regina Leong play an important role in strengthening the collaboration among Asian textile and apparel industries and advancing regional competitiveness. So right here, we're going to start for the first question. Once again, invite Mr. Jain Namchai Siri, the Chairman, Thai Man-Made Fiber Association or TMFA Thailand on the stage. Yeah, and we begin with the first session from Ms. Regina Leong. So I will hand on the stage to her for the first presentation. เรามาเริ่มที่ท่านแรกกันเลยนะคะกับหัวข้อแรกที่เราจะพูดกันในเรื่องนี้นะคะ How Asian and wider Asian region are reshaping the future of global textile and apparel sourcing through competitiveness, regional integration, manufacturing excellence, and strategic collaboration. So if ready, I will hand on the stage to you.
Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Regina. I serve as the Permanent Secretary General of the ASEAN Federation of Textile Industry, or we all known as AFTEX. The title of my presentation today, and may I say it's a very technical one, is the Global Sourcing Reset, ASEAN Manufacturing Landscape, and the ASEAN Strategic Rise. Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attentions to the slide. So this is the very popular or very famous animal in Thailand is an elephant. Now you may recognize this. Is the ancient parable of the blind man and the elephant. So each man, they are blind by the way, with blindfolded, touches different part of the elephant. The tusk, the trunk, the leg, the tail, and each declare with competent confidence that they know exactly what the elephant is, but none of them were right. Every part of the elephant, as you can see, either you touch the trunk, you touch the tail, then all have different interpretation. So some see ASEAN as a low-cost manufacturing alternative to China. Others see it as a collection of developing economies with infrastructure gaps. Some see only one country, perhaps Vietnam. What I want to do today is to give you a full picture, the complete elephant. Now, like what the famous saying goes, let's address the white elephant in the room. Let us start with the textile and apparel industry and looking at the global market share. Ladies and gentlemen, I took my data from the World Trade Organization, and I believe this is the most reliable data. And as I was analyzing it, the data for 2025 is not really comprehensive yet, so I did not display any 2025 data as yet. As you can see from this slide, let me just highlight to you based on this data, this tells us something precise about what is happening. China is not retreating from the industry. China, as you can see from this data, in 2024 has gone down all the way down. And in 2025, which my colleague from Vietnam has verified yesterday, that they have surpassed China export of apparel in 2025. So let me just summarize this. China apparel world share fell to 29.6% in 2024. It's the lowest since 2010, where it falls every year. At the same time, if you look on the graph on your right-hand side, China textile share on fabric, yarn, and fiber has surged to 43.3% in 2024. It's the highest ever recorded. So that means China has moved to become the world fabric mill, supplying inputs to the rest of Asia. And from this data, I would like to bring to you some other countries that I will compare with ASEAN. But bear in mind, my presentation will focus more on ASEAN, but because we are looking at the world global textile and apparel producer and exporter, so it's fair that I would like to also show the numbers from China, Bangladesh, Turkey, India, Pakistan, of which you can see they are the top 10 exporter in the world. Now let's talk about the ASEAN textile and apparel industry. So if you are not familiar with ASEAN, ASEAN now has 11 countries. And as you can see from the map, those are all the location of countries in ASEAN. And currently, all of us here are in Thailand, mostly mainland. Yeah, so that is Thailand, which is connected to Malaysia. And then Malaysia has 2 islands. The second island of Malaysia connected to Indonesia, Philippines, and other part of ASEAN. So it's quite unique, the 11 countries. And in 2025, we have a newcomer who joined ASEAN, which is Timor-Leste. If you can identify Timor-Leste at the bottom, just below Indonesia. It has about 1 million populations so far. Now, okay, the graph doesn't really show us what I have designed it to be. So this data is actually compiled throughout my service as PSG, the Permanent Secretary General of AFTEX since 2012. So what you can see here, it shows the different spectrum and the different specialty in all the textile and apparel supply chain ecosystem across ASEAN member countries. What it shows is that let's say, for example, if you have a quick glance, you can see that Indonesia actually lead in upstream, and then Vietnam leads in garment assembly, and then you can see the other part of ASEAN, they have their specialty, and you can see in terms of logistic, retail, we have countries like Singapore who are excelling in it. And then there are other parts. Of course, apologize for the legend, which is not properly displayed. So, but what you can see is that the shape of a diamond is actually means that it's a major expertise, whereas the circle is a niche, and then the triangle is growing, and the square is limited with external dependence. So this is currently how the textile and apparel industry ecosystem look like in ASEAN. Now, in ASEAN, we can cater for all different, every buyer tier. So we can cater for the first tier buyer, that means for the global brand and multinational. Then we can also cater for second tier buyer, regional and mid-market levels. And then we can also cater for the third tier, with the SMEs, the independent, and the e-commerce brand. So you can see that ASEAN actually can cater to many tiers of buyers. And it's self-explanatory. For example, like for the first tier, we have the strongest country there, Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand. And then in second tier, we have Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines. And the third tier, we have Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, and also the SMEs from Vietnam. Now, the two strategic insights from the data that I've shown you earlier is that we can see that China apparel world share has fell and is taken over by Vietnam in 2025. At the same time, China textile share in terms of fabric, yarn, and fiber has surged to 43.3%. So China has become the world fabric mill, as I mentioned earlier, and ASEAN is becoming the world garment factory, running on Chinese input and export to Western market. And then if you look at the insight number 2, as I mentioned again, Vietnam overtook China as number 1. And you can see in the 2025 data as well, Cambodia actually has grew 24.7% market to the US. And here we have friends from Bangladesh. Their market also have grown 11.5% in US in 2025. And the ASEAN 4 nation has actually absorbed 54% of China's lost US market share. So that is the insight from the data that I've shown you earlier. Now, quick one, let's go through to the ASEAN country profile. So this is the ASEAN country profile, and I compare it with the non-ASEAN major textile and apparel exporter. As you can see, China, India, Bangladesh, Turkey, and Pakistan, at comparison with all the ASEAN countries. And I just want to bring you through the, I would say, the population numbers in 2025. ASEAN bloc is at the top. You can see we are almost 700 million. And the median age of the population is 30 years old. And as you go down, the youngest between all the ASEAN countries, that will be Philippines and Cambodia. So they have very strong young populations. And as you can compare that with the non-ASEAN countries, the major textile and apparel exporter, China is slowly aging rapidly with the median age of 40. And then the rest of them, as you can see, is also at the young one being Pakistan with the youngest about 22 years old. Now then let's take a look at the GDP comparison. So the GDP comparison, as you can see, ASEAN bloc is 4.2 trillion. China is 20.9 trillion. And then India is the third, 4.2 trillion, which is the same as the whole ASEAN bloc. And in the whole ASEAN bloc, as you can see, the breakdown, the highest is Indonesia, followed by Vietnam, and then with Malaysia, Thailand, and Philippines, and so forth. So as you can see, the GDP from ASEAN countries are increasing. And let's go into a deep dive into the GDP and the member state profile. As you can see, all the different ASEAN countries here. And ASEAN is unique in a way that we are a combination of the upper middle and middle, high income, upper middle, as well as lower middle. And you can see based on all the GDP, and I will not go through this further. The key economic drivers, they have different economic drivers. And of course, at the end of the table, I actually highlighted on their textile and apparel role. As you can see in Indonesia, they're very strong in fabric and yarn. And let's compare that with Vietnam. Vietnam is the top 3 global exporter with their recent FTA with Europe, and then a strong compliance record. So we will not go through that. It's just to show you. And this is very interesting, really, the labor force and purchasing power between the ASEAN and the textile and apparel exporter in the data as per 2024. Now let us compare between the labor force and the buying power. So as you can see, 774 million of population in China for labor force has the buying power of US dollar 22,000. But as you can see, interestingly in this graph, Malaysia has a small population with the highest buying power, similar to Turkey and Thailand. So the difference between, as you can see, the significant data between the labor force and the buying power. So again, I would like to highlight, looks like the buying power are also mostly in the ASEAN countries. Now let me just summarize that. The economic and strength and the demographic, ASEAN combined GDP is 4.2 trillion with 700 million population, 11 countries. Average growth of GDP of 5.5%, and we have under age of 30 about 319 million. So that is the economic view and strength of the ASEAN with our other global and textile and apparel exporter. Now let's go to the FTA, which is very important. So as much as I try to break down in details, let me just let you see this, that the ASEAN bloc, currently we have 6 block level FTAs and 50 plus member bilateral. So key agreement is RCEP, ASEAN China, ASEAN Japan, Korea, India, as well as Australia and New Zealand. So, and then as you can see, all of these FTAs, you can see some of the countries there, Vietnam, Singapore, Indonesia, Cambodia, and Malaysia, have access to EU market, CPTPP, as well as RCEP, comparatively with China, Bangladesh, India, Turkey, and Pakistan. Now, this is more detail on the FTA. If you quick glance, the green one means you have access to the market. So look at ASEAN bloc, EU market, we have green. That means we have access to EU market through Vietnam, who have just signed the EU EVFTA, Europe-Vietnam FTA. And then there's access to China, Japan, and then other regional bloc. There are also access to Middle East through countries like Malaysia and also Indonesia and a few other things. So these are all the FTAs that in ASEAN that actually can go to different global markets. That means EU, USA, China, Japan, and other regional bloc. Now let's compare that with Bangladesh, India, Turkey, and Pakistan. So as you can see, there are some of them have no FTA, and some of them are still in negotiation. So comparatively, if you look at it in one glance, green means good, and red means not so good. Okay, when I say not so good, my clicker is not working. Okay, so now we look into the ASEAN cost factor. You have seen the FTA, and you have seen that the number of FTAs that we have in ASEAN is a lot. And I was just talking to my Vietnam colleague, and they said that Vietnam continue to work on their FTAs very, very hard. And we look at now into the ASEAN cost factor and digital market. So this is something that I would like to look into. Why digital market is also very important in ASEAN. So let's take a look at the, I would say, minimum wage and the CMT costs, as well as other costs like electricity, as well as the lead time. So if you look at the top of this chart, Myanmar is actually the lowest. So Myanmar have the lowest CMT costs with a quite low electricity. And however, the problem with Myanmar, they may have disrupted lead time. So that is comparatively. So you look at Cambodia. Cambodia is also one of the lowest costs. And then as you go down, we can see our other friends from Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, and China. And then the top 3 is ASEAN, and after that, below is Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines, Thailand, of course, Malaysia's currently for manufacturing and expensive, and in Singapore, there's no CMT cost. So this shows you that in ASEAN, cost is also another factor why it comes to, when it comes to sourcing and exporting textile and apparel. So you can see the world number 1 is here in China, and the world number 2 producer is here, Bangladesh, and the world number 3 here is Vietnam. Now, then let me bring your attention to the digital economy and e-commerce between our ASEAN and our other textile and apparel exporter. So if you can see the e-commerce market, the highest currently is in Indonesia, internet penetration of 74.6. But bear in mind that in Indonesia, 74.6% is quite high because of their high population. And as you can see, most of the ASEAN countries are in e-commerce. So, and they are growing year on year. The internet penetration is growing and emerging. So, and as you can see from other, our friends from China, India, Turkey, and Bangladesh is also growing, and they have different platforms that they go to. So the reason why I would like to show you the difference between the cost and the digital economy is here. Because ASEAN has one advantage, being in ASEAN all this while and going around for the meeting of AFTEX, I've noticed that in ASEAN, we can produce here and at the same time sell here. So if you look at the cost competitive, the CMT cost is very low in some of the ASEAN countries like Cambodia and Laos. Monthly wages is also low. But at the same time, there is an opportunity to penetrate into the digital market. So you can look at the e-commerce is growing in ASEAN with 700 million consumers. That's already about 60%. And then the cost of the, I would say the gross merchandising value is about 25%. And the internet is growing with a year-on-year growth. So ASEAN is not only about cost, it's also about a market itself. So as you can see, what I'm trying to say is that you source here, you can also sell here, and you can also scale here. Now, what makes all this successful is because the last important point of my presentation today, which is the institutional backbone of ASEAN. Just to let you know the timeline of ASEAN, we started in 1967. So that brings us to about 59 years old. That's almost the retirement age. Yes? And moving forward, we have Timor-Leste joining us in 2025. And ASEAN, we have this ASEAN community vision of being the 4th largest global economy. And of course, we have the ASEAN Charter, which started in 2008. And we renew our AEC, which is the ASEAN Economic Community, in 2026 to 2030. So we look into some single window digital development as well as cross-border and sustainable growth. And we have the ASEAN Vision 2045, which was adopted. And we want to be competitive as well as, again, what I mentioned just now, to be the 4th biggest economy. And for us in ASEAN, all this can become successful because of the unity. So with the ASEAN Charter, AEC, and Vision 2045 is institutional backbone for all the 10 countries to be together and to actually emerge as one of the sourcing hub in the world. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's boring, a lot of figures. Some of you will be lost in the figures as well. So I just want to conclude my presentation that ASEAN is not an alternative to China. ASEAN is a complementing to China. And ASEAN is currently at the center. And the global sourcing reset did not disrupt ASEAN. In fact, it revealed the strength of ASEAN as the world's most resilient, most connected, and the most inclusive sourcing hub. So, ladies and gentlemen, I end my presentation by saying that the future of global fashion runs through ASEAN, and ASEAN is ready. Thank you.
Please give a big round of applause to Ms. Regina Leong, the Permanent Secretary General, Asian Federations of Textile Industry, RFTech. As she said that Asian is not only the cause. Most of you may think that Asian, when we think of the Asian, we would think that we have the low cost, we have the labor costs that very low, that make you competitive. But we also have the buyer potential. We also be the market, and we are not only the maybe the choice, but we can make you more competitive and be the future market and be the future collaboration as well. For the next session, we're going to hand on to Dr. Chanchai Siri Kasemlet, Executive Director, Thailand's Textile Institute, or THTI Thailand. Dr. Chanchai has been instrumental in driving innovation, sustainability, and industrial transformations within Thailand's textile sector. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the session, we're still talking about Asia's manufacturing landscape and Asian strategic rights. So, in this time, I will hand on the stage to Dr. Chanchai Siri Kasemlet, and please give a big round of applause for him. ขอเสียงปรบมือด้วยค่ะ
Good morning, distinguished guests. Kun Pongsak Asakun. Welcome everyone to Bangkok. My name is Chan Chai. I'm an executive director from the Thailand Textile Institute. It is the institute under the Foundation of Industrial Development established by Ministry of Industry. So today, after Regina speaking about ASEAN, I just want to present about Thailand, the profile of Thailand textile and apparel industries, as well as our role, Thailand's role in ASEAN. I think this potential platform can show us that there is an opportunity for our region in an era defined by global supply chain realignment. Regional competitiveness requires moving from isolated manufacturing base to our multi-country ecosystem, offering structural resilience and compliance harmonization. So the questions today are, can ASEAN function as a unified sourcing bloc? Can we moving from parallel industries to integrated supply chain? But first, let me tell you more about Thailand textile and clothing industries. Thailand has a well-established textile and apparel industry which has developed over many decades. Thailand was among the first countries in the ASEAN to establish a strong T&A industry, especially apparel. In 1980s, the T&A industry was booming, driven by international trade. In 1988, T&A became the country's top exported products with an export value of 2.4 billion, accounting for 12% of overall gross domestic product. It has gradually declined over the years as a result of growing competition. In the second stage, deliberate pivot away from the reliance on low labor costs toward advanced chemical engineering, petrochemicals, and polymer production. And now, at the present, we have full value chain, highly capitalized, skill-intensive production. In 2025, the global trade value was $6.25 billion, securing livelihoods for over 400,000 manufacturing workers. Thailand is an export-oriented economy, with exports making up 70% of the country's GDP. In 2025, its textile and apparel exports reached $6.25 billion. Major exporting country partners are the US, Japan, Vietnam, China, and Indonesia. Among them, the US is the biggest exporting destination for clothing. Vietnam is the biggest exporting destination for fabric, and China is the biggest exporting destination for fiber. For import, textile and apparel imports were valued at 5.84 billion US dollar in 2025, most of which 68% were associated with upstream products such as fiber, yarn, and fabric. Thailand relies on imports to provide 99% of cotton needed. Half of these imports came from China. China was also the top importing partner for clothing, yarn, and fabric, while the US is the top importing partner for fiber, mainly cotton. These are efforts to transition from the OEM model towards more complex operations, such as original design manufacturing or original brand manufacturing through functional upgrading. Branding, product design, and marketing functions are more knowledge intensive and have higher value added. Thus, this shift is expected to allow Thailand to have a larger role in the global and regional T&A value chain. One emerging trend is the increasing use of environmental standards from major exporting markets such as the European Union. Let me tell you a little bit more about the supporting from Thailand government. We have the strong national policy. Thailand has adopted the bio-circular green BCG economy model as a new national paradigm to achieve the UN SDGs goal and restructure our production pattern from linear to circular. Second is comprehensive support. We are leveraging support from the Ministry of Industry and the Board of Investment to provide financial incentives, promote investment in target industry, and ensure the entire T&A value chain meets local and global standards. THTI, our institute, also actively supports the sector by fostering innovation in sustainable materials, green chemicals, eco-design, and clean energy. So you can see from this diagram that the Thai government is also promoting the upgrade of the T&A value chain towards more technology-based products with higher value added. I show you this picture, which is the vision of a Thai textile and apparel industry. Thailand has built a complete value chain of textile and apparel products with a competitive synthetic fiber production segment. Efforts were made to upgrade the Thai textile and apparel value chain towards higher value added and more knowledge and skill intensive segments, such as technical textiles. Now let me tell you a little bit about one model that I want to talk about today. It's just a model, but let me think about this. The integration into regional and global value chains. The Thai T&A sector is deeply integrated into regional and global value chains. Within the ASEAN region, Thailand, with its complete T&A value chain and capital-intensive operations, exports upstream textile products to Vietnam and others for apparel manufacturing. Data shows that inputs worth 1,190 million are generated in Thailand for all ASEAN T&A exports. In the contemporary global sourcing landscape, competitiveness is no longer divided by single country isolation, but by regional synergy within ASEAN. Vietnam, Cambodia, and Indonesia are global hubs for large-scale, high-efficiency garment assembly, driven by competitive labor dynamics and extensive trade agreements. Thailand serves as the upstream and midstream provider of high-value inputs through a multi-country sourcing architecture. Thailand supplies functional fabric, eco-certified yarns to neighboring production base. This relationship turns from potential regional competition into a highly integrated, codependent supply chain. To meet the global demands for speed to market and supply chain resilience, Thailand leveraged its geostrategic position at the heart of mainland Southeast Asia. Cross-border synchronicity, Thailand's advanced multimodal transport infrastructure, including well-developed economic corridors such as the EEC, cross-border highways, and modernized port facilities, ensure the rapid frictionless transit of raw and semi-finished material to manufacturing hubs across CLMV and border ASEAN. Let me talk a little bit about the RCEP. RCEP implementation under the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, Thailand utilized liberalized rules of origin and regional value content accumulation. This allows ASEAN-made products incorporating Thai high-performance materials to seamlessly qualify for preferential tariffs, maximizing efficiency and minimizing regulatory barriers for global buyers. Lastly, I want to talk a little bit about my institute, Thailand Textile Institute. We like to operate as the technical backbone, preventing regulatory fragmentation and transforming parallel national industries into a global compliance ecosystem. Here are some of our readiness to support the ASEAN. THTI internationally accredited testing center provides independent, neutral verification for the entire region, eliminating redundant cross-border testing costs. We decided for regional scalability featuring smart fabric certification, circular textile standards, and comprehensive product carbon footprint assessment. We also work with a lot of universities in Thailand to do research and development, securing technological edges in high barrier segments like medical textile and automotive textile. We also provide a lot of human resource development, driving digital manufacturing adoption through specialized incubation programs and deep institutional partnerships with CLMV nations to upskill the broader ASEAN workforce. Actually, this year we just got funding from the ASEAN Hong Kong FTA, which will have a training in Bangkok around October. We will train about 50 people in ASEAN, including our 8 neighboring countries in Bangkok. So I would like to invite any one of you who are interested to join this program to come to Bangkok to study about the sustainability and also circular economy development in textiles. I just want to talk a little bit about the EU. There will be a lot of regulations coming out, but there is another session for this. Just to show you a little bit that there will be the ESPR, Eco-Design for Sustainable Product Regulation, the Digital Product Passports, Corporate Sustainability Reporting, and also REACH. So in the near future, or even now, there's a lot of concerns about all these regulations. So my worry is about how to prepare our SMEs to be ready for this change of regulations. I have provided a simple diagram to help our SMEs to become greener, there including 5 steps, from using sustainable raw materials, clean manufacturing processes, and also design for the future, as well as the data collection and transparency, which is quite difficult now. In Thailand, we also have this problem. I think in order to empowering our MSME for the circular economy, we need to do the bridging the knowledge gap and help them to overcoming financial hurdles. This is also another story about the smart manufacturing, which I will talk a bit more tomorrow in the session of innovation and digital transformation. My last slide is just to show you that in conclusion, Thailand does not view our ASEAN neighbors through the lens of competition, but rather through the paradigm of comparability, complementarity, where each nation represents an essential piece of a unified global puzzle. Structurally, Thailand is prepared to assume the role of the region's brain and nerve system by providing foundation technology, world-class testing infrastructure, and pioneering green standards. THDI aims to function as a green supply chain orchestrator. Our collective goal is clear. We do not seek to build isolated strongholds, but a synchronized, resilient, and sustainable ASEAN ecosystem that wins together on the global stage. Thank you very much.
So big round of applause to Dr. Chanchai Siri Kasembler, the Executive Director of Thailand Textile Institute or THTI Thailand. And this is the overall the purpose and the point of view of the Thailand market and that's Institute of Thailand Textile Institute as well. And the purpose is to step up from the apparel industry to be the integrated supply chain. So the next speakers and the next topic that we're going to talk, we will have an honor from Mr. Jane Namchai Siri, the chairman of Thai Man-Made Fiber Association or TMFA Thailand โอกาสนี้จะเป็นหัวข้อจากคุณเจนนำชัยสิรินะคะซึ่งเป็นแชร์แมนจาก Thai Man-Made Fiber Association or TMFA Thailand นั่นเองค่ะซึ่งท่านเป็นบุคคลที่มีประสบการณ์มามากมายเลยนะคะในวงการนี้นะคะ Mr. Chin Namchai Siri is one of Thailand's most respected industrial leaders with expertise experience in the textiles and synthetic fiber industries. So if you're ready, I will hand on the seat for the third session to you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, it's a very good opportunity for me to talk in this venue, and I'd like to describe to you the entrepreneur's point of view of how the textile and apparel industry in Thailand has evolved over the last 50 years or so. I myself have been in this industry for I think about 42 years. Maybe a little bit less than Kun Pongsak here. Our really a veteran at the textile industry. But I think I've been here long enough to see the changes and the transformation of the textile and apparel industry of Thailand over the last 4 decades. So here goes. I'm here to talk about the transformation. So this is how you do it, right? Okay. All right. The global sourcing reset, because we have seen quite a big reset. Previously, if you remember, when we talk about the industrial evolution in Thailand, I think everyone would recognize and also admit that the textile industry is one of the very first industry to be mentioned and to be implemented as the industrialization process in any country. So if you're talking about textile, if you're talking about garments, if you're talking about apparel, if you're talking about spinning, weaving, you're talking about the original textile industry that start to evolve and start to industrialize any nation. If you walk back with me, maybe I'll show you the industrial evolution of Thailand. In the beginning, Thailand is not an industrialized country, as everyone knows. We are an agricultural country. And the economy at that time was propelled by the abundant resources, the land, the water resource, everything that we have that contributes greatly to the agricultural world, agricultural economy. So that's that's Thailand 1.0. When we start industrialization, that's Thailand 2.0. That means that we start to have textile industry, food industry, because in the beginning, we start to have the agricultural industry, economy, we have money, so we start to import these products into Thailand. And after a while, the market is big enough, so we start to think that, well, why keep buying, where you can actually manufacturing all these things. So we start with the fabric, weaving. Yeah, that's probably one of the very first industry in Thailand. And actually, I would like to say that it started with the military, because the military, they have knowledge, and at the same time, they have the budget to start industrialization. So at that time, industry was created to satisfy the local demand. That's the aim of the industry, and that's the objective of the industrialization of Thailand. After a while, everybody realized that we start to be able to fulfill all the domestic demands and everything. And then we happen to find that in the Gulf of Thailand, we have some raw material. We have some petrochemical substance that we can use for raw material in the textile industry. That's when the third part of the Thailand industrialization start. That's Thailand 3.0. That's when we start to have the upstream industry, the fibers, chemical fibers, and at the same time we have to realize as well that we have some agricultural fibers as well, and that's when we start to think that we are not only producing for the domestic market, but we start to be able to produce for exports. That's what the Thailand 3.0. And now we are talking about how we can continue to export. But as everybody knows, the scenario has changed. So this is the topic of the talk, a defining moment for the textile and apparel industry. How can it be a defining moment? That means that we have to have a new definition. Previously, it was obviously made for the domestic market. It was obviously made for exports. But at the same time, during that time, the magic word is that you have economy of scale. Economies of scale is everything when you start to have a factory, a textile factory, or any kind of factory. But at this moment, the economies of scale is not so much, because you cannot match the scale of some other manufacturers. So right now, what is going to happen to the textile industry? You can see that the global brands are reshaping sourcing strategies beyond the cost competitiveness. Now we are talking about something else. We are talking about being green. We are talking about sustainability. So supply chain resilience comes into play. We have 4 drivers: supply chain resilience, the sustainability and traceability, the speed to market, and the risk diversification. Now these factors, these drivers, were not there 20 years, even 10 years ago. Now we are talking about these drivers, and these drivers are the ones that we have to contend, the ones that we have to emphasize in order to survive in this industry. So, if you're looking at Thailand at the center of the next sourcing chapters, that means that we have to answer, we have to respond to these drivers. We have to be a balanced combination of capability, reliability, and connectivity. We have to have a complete supply chain. Thailand is lucky to have a very wide variety of fibers of upstream materials, so we can satisfy the need of the whole supply chain. We have a strong supporting industries. Because it's an industry that was developed for more than 40 years, the support industry is there. So even small materials, small pieces of the garments, we can manufacture in the country. We also have a logistics connectivity, and that is one of I think, strong point of Thailand. Domestic transportation, even the international transportation. We also have a digital and cyber readiness for the business to conduct very efficient business running. And we have strategic ASEAN location. We are the gateway to the Southeast Asia, as Ms. Regina had shown you. We have the regional manufacturing hub, and we have access to global shipping routes. So Thailand combines manufacturing capability, supply chain depth, and the regional connectivity within one sourcing destination. Now this one is one of the most comprehensive and technical slides. It starts with the left side, which is the synthetic value chain. We have the petrochemical industry. We have the petrochemical base for materials. We have the polyester. We have nylon. We also have manufacturers of rayon fibers. We have acrylic fibers. And lately, we have the aramid fiber for the protective garment industry. Mind you, we also have the recycled synthetic fiber, which is very important in these days of sustainability. So we have a very good variety that you can choose from. The center is the process. You have the petrochemical-based and agricultural-based fibers. You combine it into yarn and then fabric, dyeing, finishing, and making garments, and to satisfy the global brands. So that's the business process column. And then lastly, the natural fiber value chain is very important, because now if we are talking about sustainability, we also need to identify our materials to satisfy that needs. We have cotton, of course. Our cotton may not be the most dominating fibers, natural fibers, but we also have other fibers that will satisfy the needs. We have the hemp, the jute, the flax. We have rami. And lately, there has been some talks about and some studies of pineapple fibers. And mind you, if you follow the situation, we are talking and also we are researching the durian fiber. So we have chemical, we have the machinery, we have the testing facilities, we have the packaging, we have the innovation. So buyers can source multiple stages of production within one integrated ecosystem. Now, once we have that, we will look further into the infrastructure for modern sourcing. Logistic infrastructure. We have the deep sea ports. We have world-class ports with high capacity and efficiency. We have international airports, several of them in different parts of the country. We have road and regional connectivity, and we have export facilitation. So these are logistic infrastructure that we can say that it's quite convenient and quite efficient in the modern world. And we also have the digital infrastructure. We have many investment looking to investors looking to invest in Thailand on the data processing and data center. We have digital manufacturing. We have smart factories. We have real-time supply chain visibility. And we have the cybersecurity readiness. Those are the things that are at the heart of the modernization of the textile industry in Thailand. So we are looking at strategic location, connected and efficient and reliable industry, and also a supply chain. The sourcing hub of the future. So we are looking at an integrated supply chain. Now supply chain is more important than ever. Previously, we were talking about the everything under one roof. That's something of the past. We were boasting of everything under one roof, and so it was very efficient. Now it's not. Now we are talking about supply chain, as an efficient supply chain, which may not be under one roof, but we combine those who manufacture or those who produce the best components, the best products, the best raw materials for our combination into the finished products. So supply chain became critical and vital for the success of the operation. So we are looking at the integrated supply chain. We are looking at operational agility because we need to be quick. We need to respond quickly to the market. And we're also, with certain requirements, we need to be sustainable. We need to conform to sustainability and sustainable manufacturing. We're also looking at the supply chain resilience, because supply chain can be fragile, but at the same time, if you modify, if you sustain a good preparation for the supply chain, you can make it resilient, and that is a very important factor in trying to set up an efficient supply chain. So Thailand is not simply a manufacturing destination. Thailand is a strategic sourcing ecosystem. This slide shows all the things that we would like to be able to supply. The new textile and apparel S-curve. We are looking at defense and military textile. We are looking at medical textile, which is already being manufactured at this moment. We are looking at technical textile. We have many manufacturers here, exhibitors here, who are involved in the technical textile. We are looking at the functional workwear and for pilot and firemen. You can also see some examples of the products here in this exhibition. We are looking at champion Thailand sportswear. For sportswear, we are already manufactured quite a bit, but you must admit that for sportswear, very much development and evolution has taken place. So we are looking at sportswear for more efficient athletes and sportsmen. You can look at on the right side, you can see the sample of the protective gears, the PPE and the gloves that prevent cuts to the hands or to the body parts, and the fireman's uniform, the fireman's suit, and for garments for the pilots and anyone working in the space as well. So these are the, I would say the aspiration, and sometimes these became reality. And I would like to say that these are the things that Thailand is moving towards in the near future. And I would like to say that the textile industries, the way forward and the way to survive in this day and age is probably through all these efficient supply chain and all these efficient transformation. So that is probably all I'm talking about Thailand. Thank you very much.
Big round of applause to Mr. Chain Namchaisirit, the chairman of Thai Man-Made Fiber Association, or TMFA Thailand. So this is to show you and to learn about the transformation of the textile industry in Thailand. Up to present, we not only focus on only the cost competitive, but we also focus on sustainability, traceability, and the supply chain. This is the hard and very important things. As you can see that in Thailand, we derive a lot of textile ingredients from the local ingredients, for instance, durian as well. And we are not only the place where you can find us as a manufacturing place, but we will be the sourcing ecosystem. We have integrated supply chain and resilience. We have the operational agility. We have the sustainable manufacturing, and we are looking for the trust partnership as well. For the next session, we'll be the last speakers on the first session in the morning. Our next speakers represent the world leading federations of apparel manufacturers, brands, and industry associations representing the global apparel supply chain across more than 40 countries. At this time, I would like to invite Mr. Matthias Krite, the Secretary General, International Apparel Federation, or IAF. Mr. Matthias is a globally respected apparel industry leader and Secretary General of IAF, who has spent over 2 decades advancing in international collaboration, sourcing the strategy, the trade policy, and innovation and sustainable growth across the global textile. And of course, in this time, if you're ready, I will hand on the stage to you for the last speakers on this session in the morning.
Thank you very much for the introduction. And thank you very much, AFTEX and CEMS-Global, for putting this together, for bringing us together. Because, as I will explain, that is one of the most important purposes also of the IAF, the International Apparel Federation, to bring the global industry together and to learn from each other. So we're very happy to be here and to be part of that activity. Right, let's go to the first slide of the presentation, please.
So that would be a technical problem for a while, so we are trying to resolve. So you can introduce yourself or the things the topic that you would like to talk about in the state for every audience today to listen.
No problem. I will see it appear on the screen or not, but I will continue to speak. So the IF, the organization that I represent, as we just heard, our members are spread across the globe. National Apparel Association, representing more than 40 countries. Corporate members, especially some large manufacturing groups. Associate members, CEMS-Global, Infor are 2 of our associate members that are here, and educational institutes. We have a board of directors from across the globe. CCCT is represented in our executive committee by Mr. Zhao Jiachang. Mr. Van Tichem, who is also a speaker here from Eurotex, also sits on the board of directors of the IAF. Our mission is to help build smarter, stronger, and more sustainable apparel supply chains by uniting and supporting the global apparel manufacturing community. So we have heard a lot from the previous speakers, and I wholeheartedly agree with the importance of more integrated supply chains, collaboration within the supply chain, competitiveness by being able to collaborate between the different links in the supply chain. So we exist to support all apparel manufacturers in harsh global business conditions. I mean, we are not talking about that right now, but on the short term, of course, this industry is facing significant shocks. We don't know when this Strait of Hormuz will open, when we will have access to the energy that we need, but obviously that can have significant impacts. Now we talk a little bit about the longer trends. So I want to give you a few global trends, and some of them we've seen, but highlight that these are happening across the industry in the world. And I also want then to make the link with our IF perspective on competitiveness, what we think is sort of the secret sauce and how that relates to the ASEAN regions. Finally, on IF, we also do like specific projects with partners. So we partner with the STAR network here in our Sustainable Terms of Trade initiative that is also present here, where we focus on improving purchasing practices in the industry and other similar projects. Okay, now I'll talk a little bit about trends. First trend, competition from ultra-fast fashion direct to consumer. Speed to market, flexibility, these are becoming much more a competitive edge. And what is interesting is platforms like Shein actually give manufacturers a more direct connection to end consumers. That is one way of looking at it. But it is pushing the whole industry towards more reactiveness quicker. Very important trend. Trend 2, the supply chain shifts that we see.
Oh, I think right now that presentation is now ready.
Good, good, good. There we are.
Okay, we are
Trend
here.
2. That is the shift from the cheapest to the most reliable, safe shoring. We have seen that. What I think is very interesting is near-shoring from the perspective of ASEAN. What is near? The ASEAN markets themselves, as we've seen, are growing significantly. So the production within this region for the region is becoming much more important. And combined with the need to have greater responsiveness, greater speed to market, that means an additional advantage of the production in this region for the markets in this region. Vertical integration, supply chain integration, as we've heard, is all part of that. The digital transformation, which has many, many elements. We are talking about that tomorrow also. From 3D design and development, which really underpins, I think, the digitalization of the industry is necessary to be able to make it more flexible and responsive. Sustainability and circularity, very wide range of topics. We will hear about that this afternoon when we talk about legislation. We have requirements on quality. We have requirements on traceability. We will have requirements on circularity. They are all descending on the industry. I think also an important trend. An important trend is the connection between climate and financial gain. And more as the industry comes under pressure, margin come under pressure. Politically also, some governments are drawing back a little bit on their demands on sustainability. Then if you can make the combination of improving the financial results and the sustainability result, this becomes much more important. And obviously, investments in renewable energy are important, but also, and then we come to a little bit of the secret sauce that I was talking about, reduction of waste in a broad sense, and I will show you some slides later. Reduction of waste through supply chain excellence. That is where you can get both climate and financial gains. If you reduce physical samples, if you reduce fabrics, if you reduce markdowns, especially overproduction. I am going in the wrong direction. My apologies. If we're talking about responsiveness, yes. So that is the question. How can manufacturers do the impossible? If we look at all of these trends, what are the winners? The winners are those manufacturers that can deliver the product that the consumer wants, that is allowed by the law, that is accompanied by the required information, and that is produced sustainably for lower costs and at the right time. So how do you do that? The key to pulling off this magic trick, we think, is to improve supply chain processes, to become more flexible and more data-driven. The money saved on cutting process waste, such as overproduction, markdowns, excess inventory, excess material, unnecessary samples, everything that can translate also into higher margins and investments for all of the supply chain partners. So something has to change. If we're talking about the reset of the supply chain, it runs that reset for an important part through process improvements that reduce waste in the supply chain. And we need to look at waste in a broad sense. Financial waste, right, such as markdowns, lost sales, material waste, including overproduction, physical samples, energy waste, human energy waste. There's a whole range of wastes that the industry needs to focus on. And it can do that through process improvement, 3D digital sampling, design for sustainability, process innovation. And I give a very specific example that already shows how these process improvements require the collaboration within the supply chain, how they require the apparel and the textile company to work together. So for instance, staging capacity, hedging, pre-positioning materials, those help to reduce long procurement leads, and they enable the reduction of fashion risk by producing the products that the consumer actually want, by producing closer to the moment of selling. So what does this mean for Asian apparel manufacturers? Well, I think, and what we've just seen here, with the level of sophistication that is present here in this region, Asian apparel manufacturers can create value out of these trends. What is important is that they cannot do this alone. Manufacturers play a huge role, but they cannot do this alone. The market is demanding process changes, and they cannot be carried out by single companies. Each link in the chain relies on the other for success. A garment manufacturer relies on the fabric suppliers for data, flexibility, and sustainability. But it also needs the buyers for commitments and to pay a realistic price. And it needs the government to support the industry with ease of trade. And it needs the educators to provide the right education so that the companies can hire the young people that understand the new way of doing business. So finally, competitive apparel manufacturers have strong supply chains close by, and this is where the supply chains start to be in competition with each other. Flexibility requires proximity. This is a great advantage of Asian apparel production. It has excellent companies in all corners of the supply chain, as we've seen. It has the synthetic, the artificial, the cotton change. It has the technology providers, the capital providers, the educators, and it has really important growing consumer markets that create a demand for products, create a demand for design capabilities. But to create smooth and responsive supply chains, there must be as little friction between the different parts as possible. Especially the connection between apparel manufacturers in one country and textile manufacturers in another country must be smooth and it must be swift. And this is a responsibility of governments as well. But, and that is my concluding remark, the national associations really have an important role to play here to understand these new dynamics, to speak to their governments, to speak to the educators, to speak to their members, to speak to the brands on what is needed to work together to create a stronger, smarter, and more sustainable industry. Thank you very much.
Please give a big round of applause to Mr. Matthias Krite, the Secretary General International Apparel Federation, or IAF. As he say, the digitalization of industry is really important because this is to make the market even more flexible and gain more data-driven. And we combine the climate purposes mitigation and the financial gain together. So we try to manage the waste from the textile industry, like the human energy waste, inventory waste, or overproduction, some kind of that we try to execute, and we can like achieve the goal of this industry, like the supply chain, the overall supply chain, that we can make the climate mitigation and the financial gain at the same time. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we bring you guys to the session that everyone has already finished speaking, right, for the presentation. But this time we're going to have a talk for the panel discussion, which we have an honor from the important person, Mr. Johan Rollins, who is going to be the moderator. So in this time, we're going to make the panel discussion. And after this, if you guys has any question, should there be any question, you can raise the question after the session. So I will hand on the stage to Mr. Johan.
Thank you, and thank you to CEMS, to IF, and to AFTEX for inviting us to be here. Obviously, as mentioned, it represents Sri Lanka, so we're not part of ASEAN, so an interesting angle to it. Thank you to the four panelists. We've had some wonderful perspectives, I think, looking at how ASEAN might work. I think there's a lot to unpack in terms of the role that ASEAN plays, both as a coordination from a supply perspective and also as a potential market. So we'll ask a couple of questions, and if anybody in the audience does have anything you'd like to ask, please do put your hand up because we can come to you at any time. So just to get the conversation going, and we're looking at this role of ASEAN, and this goes out to all four of my panelists. How do you see Asia transitioning as from a competing supply base to a coordinated ecosystem? We've talked a lot about the need to collaborate, the need to work together. We're all, as nations, typically very competitive. We're all chasing the same customers, we're all chasing the same suppliers, and therefore there's a lot of competition that happens. So how do we start this process of moving it towards collaboration? Regina, maybe do you want to just pitch in?
Thank you, Mr. Johan. So in terms of collaboration, I think in ASEAN, we already have what we call the intra-ASEAN trade. And with the intra-ASEAN trade, we have the, what you call the FTA is called AFTA, the ASEAN Free Trade Agreement. So with the AFTA, ASEAN Free Trade Agreement, basically intra-ASEAN trade between all the ASEAN countries, there's a free flow of goods, and then some of the, and we also have this special, what we call the ASEAN single window. With this mechanism of ASEAN single window, the collaboration, I think, can be achieved in a way that we are complementing each other. I believe I would like to refer to Dr. Chanchai's presentations on which we source from each other. And with the single window, we're actually able to do that very, very fast, and we're able to complement each other. And if you look at my slide earlier, we have different strength and different capability in ASEAN. So I believe the collaborations there is already in the process, but I think the next phase will be to strengthen it to a next level. In AFTEX also, we keep talking about intra-ASEAN trade, and we also try to do business matching, on which AFTEX has successfully done a mini scale of business matching in 2024, and we hope to do more business matching in this event as well.
Thank you. Dr. Chanchai, you talked of this synchronized ecosystem, and I think this leads on to the conversation as to how we build this ecosystem and how we grow. So from your perspective, Dr. Chanshay, how do you think we can actually make progress on this?
I think, from my point of view, I think we need to share more information. And I think in the era of IT technology, I think there is no secret anymore. I think we should be more transparent and sharing information. I believe that if we look at a new market, from my point of view, if we look at a new market together, I think the competitors among us in ASEAN will be less worried about losing their markets, right? So I think, for example, the sustainability market or the green market is kind of a new market for our ASEAN countries. So I think if we start the pilot project for a new market, this will be less, I think we feel more comfortable to work together. So for the Thailand Textile Institute, I always see that ASEAN has potential to be a hub for the sustainability because we have natural fibers. In Thailand, in Vietnam, and in Myanmar, we already use a lot of bio-based fibers from lotus, from pineapple leaf fibers. And also we have done a lot in natural dyeing. And we do a lot of in our crafts, right? But we can apply that to our industries as well. So I think if we look together for a new market, I think we will feel more comfortable to work together. And if we share knowledge and experience, I think we can also achieve this model. After that, I think we will feel more comfortable to work more and more together, like Regina said, yes.
Thank you. Staying with Thailand and Mr. Chen, just picking up on the conversation, on your presentation, and with Thailand and the raw material base that is here, how do you see, what role do you think Thailand can play in becoming this central coordination hub?
Well, according to the facilities and materials available in Thailand, I would like to say that we can offer a very good variety of upstream industry. I mean the raw materials for the textile and garment industry. Actually, I would like to say that the transformation is already happening. I can notice in the domestic market, in the domestic industry, that cooperation is starting already. But we haven't seen very obvious international cooperation. In order to do that, I think we need to get to know each other much better, and we need to talk more often. And if we can be open about what we are doing and what we are good at, things like this can improve the efficiency of the supply chain. And right now, supply chain is everything. So an efficient supply chain is something that everybody wants. And if we can convince everyone that a very efficient supply chain can happen if you cooperate within the region, I think that is one of the factors that can facilitate this happening. Yes.
Thank you. Matthias, in terms of your view, and I'd like your view on two things. One is how you see this kind of regional cooperation growing, but also from a buyer's perspective. How do buyers, would they look at this in any positive sense? Would they say, no, we're happy working with VR, we don't want to look at multi-country sourcing? Where do you see brands and buyers coming into this conversation?
Well, in a number of ways. Ultimately, buyers want to put the right products on the market, right? So if that can be achieved through more integration at the back end, basically from their perspective, then all the better. And it doesn't always have to be between apparel manufacturing, right? What I said is very important, is the link between the apparel and the textile manufacturing. So that's where a lot of the flexibility flexibility comes from. So I think for a buyer, if they know that the ability is there to be very responsive, and they understand that this is what ASEAN is good at, that's an extra incentive for them to source in garments in one of those countries. And how to achieve more of that in integration is actually by just doing it, right? The more it happens, and sometimes it's the digital platforms that are cross-border that help to have more of those transactions. So if you have a lot of fabrics digitalized in like this digitalized database from different countries, then, well, automatically you start to have a need also, once you pick a fabric, to get it quickly into your warehouse with as little customs problem as possible. But it starts with creating that business, and sometimes the availability of digital platforms help. Same with sales, right? If you have those online platforms that sell in different ASEAN regions, you automatically find out if there are any barriers. So it's also a question of promoting those platforms, supporting them, and listening to them, because they uncover any barriers that are still there.
Understand. Just conscious of time, anything from the audience? Is there anything that anybody would like to ask the panel? You have a wide range of knowledge here, if there's anything. Okay. So we'll wind up quickly, but if I can maybe just ask each of the panelists, just, very, very succinctly, in a short sort of one sentence, what do you see as the greatest opportunity to grow this model of ASEAN? Maybe, Mr. Chen, we'll start from you. Just a very quick takeaway.
One of the things that we have been talking about is probably the cumulative origin, cumulative rule of origin. That means that we can use the ASEAN rule for the finished products that we can export to, maybe during a talk in any of the FTA negotiations. If we can put that in one of the conditions, I think that would greatly help. And if we can get to know each other better. Right now, as I mentioned, within domestic markets, we already engage, my factory at least, we engage our customer to manufacture, to make products that will combine with our products and sell it to our customer. That's already happening. And that is probably one of the most efficient way to satisfy the market. So I have no doubt that this kind of model will happen somewhere else as well.
Thank you. I can see we're about to be rushed off the stage. Matthias, last quick comment?
Yeah, bit of a Nike thing, just do it, right?
Fair enough.
Events like this, get together, share ideas, do projects together. I think that will help.
Thank you. Dr. Chanchai?
Yes, I think there's 3 pillars that we need to do. One, I think we need a supply chain development agent. We need a conductor. 2, I think we need a digital platform to put everyone together on the same page. And lastly, I think we need trust.
Thank you. And finally,
I'm going to add number 4 to Dr. Chanchai, which
that
is
makes sense.
Connectivity. With everything, all this set up, connectivity among all ASEAN, and then become one link to all the world.
Thank you very much. And I'm now sure we are out of time. So thank you again to my panelists, and thank you to the audience for all your time and attention.
Okay, thank you very much. But can I ask, is there any more question? No? Okay. All right. So in this time, I would like to ask everyone to stand up and get yourself in front of the stage because we're going to take a photo for the last shot on the first session in the morning. So in this time, thank you very much for four panelists. Ms. Regina Leong, the Permanent Secretary, General ASEAN Federation of Textile Industry, or FTEC. Thank you, Dr. Chanchai Siri Kasem Executive Director, Thailand Textile Institute, Thailand. And thank you so much, Mr. Chin Namchai Siri, the Chairman, Thai Man-Made Fiber Association, TMFA, Thailand. Thank you so much, Mr. Matthias Krite, Secretary General, International Apparel Federations of IAF. And last but not least, thank you so much, Mr. Johan Rollins, Secretary General, Joy Apparel Association Forum, JAAF Sri Lanka, for being the moderator along this session. Along this session, we have learned a lot about the textile industry, not only in Thailand, but across ASEAN, and the opportunities that we can bring it to export and the collaboration across the ASEAN and across the world. So we will be back again for the next session. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like you guys to, I would like all the audience to have a break for a while, and we will come back with the second session on 1:45 p.m. that we're going to talk about the global supply chains under the pressure, why the region is emerging as the next global sourcing hub. So ladies and gentlemen, it's 1:45 p.m. that we're going to come back with the session 2, and today we will have totally 3 sessions on the stage. So I hope and look forward to seeing you once again right here in front of the stage, and we will come back with key takeaways in the next session. So in this time, thank you.